afternoon, America. I am Anel Leon, and on today's news, we will be talking about the Berlin blockade. What is the Berlin blockade, you may ask? Well, let's ask Roxana Alfaro from the field reporting live from Berlin.
Thanks a lot, Anel. I'm Roxana Alfaro reporting live from West Germany, where today many Germans are remembering the impact of the Berlin blockade. It is known that the cause for the blockade was due to three key events: the Marshall Plan, which was installed by President Harry Truman to aid all European countries financially, the London Conferences of 1948, and the London Program, which ordered the separation of West Germany into three different sectors, occupied by the US, France, and Britain, also allowing a change in their currency to promote economic recovery. It is known that the 24 hours after the installment of the new Currency Act in West Berlin, the eastern side of Berlin, which was controlled by the communist leader Joseph Stalin, also installed their own currency and allowed the USSR to cut off all land and rail routes into West Berlin. Although there was a quick response from the Allies to transport more than 5,000 tons of supplies each day to approximately 2.5 million Germans. We are here live with Hector Mendoza, who lives in the western side of Berlin. Hello, Mr. Mendoza. Can you recall how your lifestyle changed due to the blockade?
Remember that the blockade brought many troubles to my family. The Russians cut off basic necessities, from gas supplies to electricity. Jobs were scarce and many people were living on the streets. It was terrible, and at times I felt like there was no hope. We barely made ends meet, and all the supplies the US, France, and Britain were bringing was just enough to keep the people on the west side of Berlin to survive. On May 5th, 1945, the blockade was over, and I was filled with so much joy.
Good morning, America. Today, the topic of the Bay of Pigs invasion. And no, not real pigs. Take it from here, Miriam Mendez.
Thanks a lot, Anel. I'm Miriam Mendez reporting live from Cuba, where people are remembering the Bay of Pigs invasion, which occurred on January 1st, 1959. Just to give you a little background on this issue, before the Bay of Pigs invasion, Fidel Castro had overran Havana with his guerrilla army to try to overthrow Fulgencio Batista, who was an American-backed dictator since 1952. Batista was a corrupt dictator who took care of American interests. When Castro overthrew him, the U.S. was unhappy and did not support Castro's intentions, because they did not benefit American interests. Now here's a short video of what occurred on January 1st, 1959.
At a secret base in the Guatemalan jungle, American CIA agents had been training Cuban exiles to invade Cuba. This, they thought, would be the impetus for the Cuban people to rise up and overthrow Castro. The invasion force was outnumbered and outgunned.
The result of this attempt was that the exiles surrendered and over 1,000 of them were taken prisoners. Castro won against the U.S.'s attempt to overthrow him. I spoke to a witness earlier who described to me his experience in Cuba during this time period. Here's what he had to say.
My parents and I lived during the reign of Batista, and always found it hard to find something to eat. We were very poor and had nothing. It was a miracle when there was enough food on the table for everyone. Once Castro came to power, we all had enough, and no one had more than anyone else. The U.S. tried to kill our great Castro, but were unsuccessful. They trained Cuban exiles to go to Cuba and overthrow Castro's, but the exiles failed and were thrown captive.
Good morning, America. Today's topic is one of the most recent controversial topics, which is the U.S. policy in the Middle East.
Thanks, Anel. A couple years back, the U.S. had a strong influence in the Middle East, and the interest continued until the 20th century. They had interest in the supply of oil that the Middle East could supply them with. The U.S. had been planning to intervene in the Middle East because they wanted to make sure they had access to the oil. The U.S. had supported a coup against Iran because Iran was trying to nationalize their oil. The U.S. did not want this to occur because it would harm U.S. interests and harm their economy. Both Eisenhower and Kennedy's policy in the Middle East discussed maintaining communism and their interests and their economic interests in the Middle East. Now here's a short video explaining what happened that day and a witness who recalls the event.
Saudi Arabia established full diplomatic relations back in 1940. Saudi Arabia's possession of the world's largest reserves of oil and a strategic location make its friendship important to the United States.
Country, we have few resources and things to call our own. The U.S. stole our oil and didn't get taxed for it. They had a lot of interest in our supply of oil and were simply doing what they pleased without giving anything back in return. They have been taking money that rightfully belongs to Iran and should be put to better Iran's economy. The U.S. was working against nationalization in our country and was against communism. At that time, I believe that as a country, we have a right to decide if we want to nationalize and earn interest for materials that we supply to other countries.
Thank you to our field reporters Roxana Alfaro and Miriam Mendez, and thank you all for watching. Join us next week.